everybody. Welcome to the table. My name is Betsy.
And I'm Michelle.
And we are women of the table.
Woo!
Happy Monday.
Happy...
Oh. Memorial Day.
I
couldn't remember Memorial Day.
I couldn't remember the name. I knew what the day was celebrating. I couldn't remember the name. I just asked you if you did anything for Memorial Day.
You know, okay, so in podcast world, are you not, we're supposed to pretend that this could be any day, so we're not supposed to date it or whatever. So, is that the thing?
We've been failing.
I know.
Really
I just thought,
that.
people are really good about that. They don't, say what the day or anything when I'm listening to other ones. So it could have been. But we're just right now, it's 9:52 in the evening.
You can tell that we don't record our podcasts months in advance.
No, we do not.
Sometimes it's just a couple days in
That's
advance.
true. Yeah.
But right now, it's a week in advance.
Right.
So,
see if we can keep that going.
Have you been reading anything good?
Yes, I started a book. It's over here. I always forget it. Yeah, can you grab that? Thank you. Glimpses of Grace. I
gave you the book. You read it.
I keep forgetting the name of the book. Gloria Furman. Have you heard of this person?
Yes. Okay. There's a book that I'm going to listen to on Hoopla that she also did, and it's on women's ministry.
Oh, cool.
And it is called, I'm going to tell you, it's going to load, and I guess you could probably take this out, but...
No, let's hear it. Let's keep talking. What is it? Gloria.
I don't even know. Oh, favorites.
Women's ministry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't even... Okay.
Scrolling.
Found it. Word-filled women's ministry.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's on audiobook, which I'm very excited about.
Nice.
But I have heard and seen reviews and read people just go on about how great. I've heard her do little YouTube clips or something, just maybe once or twice. Okay. But I really like what she has to say.
This book is great. The subtitle or whatever this is, Treasuring the Gospel in Your Home. Mm. It is, I'm only through I just got done with chapter 3, but it's really good. It's the beginning is just heavy on the gospel. If you don't know the gospel, how are you going to tell it to your kids? How are you going to live it out in your home? Mm-hmm. So it just, which I love that. I mean, even if you've heard it a million times, it's good to remind you why you're doing this for your family. Right. Why you're cleaning your house. And the whole thing is how, our life is filled with mostly what we would call mundane moments. Mm-hmm. Everyday moments. Some days feels like the same every single day, but how those are the days that we need to be teaching our children and doing the things we need to do and glorifying God and being aware of what God is doing all the time. Right. But I love it so far. It's so great. Travis got it for me for Mother's Day. Aww. So I'm excited. And he got me what is the book? Something of a Unlikely Convert. What is that called? By Rosario Butterfield. Oh. It's around here somewhere. Yeah. I haven't started that yet, but I'm excited to read that one.
Yeah, I really like her. I have her The Gospel Comes with a House Key book.
Oh, yeah. Is that good?
I have listened to it on audiobook, the first couple chapters, but that was a long time ago. And then I stopped, and I won the book from Emily Urban's giveaway. Oh, so, nice. Yeah. So, good job. Now I just need to read it. Yeah. But I've been listening to this Randy Alcorn book. I think I've talked your head off about it. But
I want to hear more.
So, it's this giant book on heaven, and it's super cool because it, basically just takes you through what the intermediate heaven is like, and then the new heaven and new earth.
That's what I need to know about.
Yeah. Oh, it's super good. And it just, gets your gears rolling in your brain to really, think about just the details of the new heavens and new earth.
I was listening to Christ and Capital, that podcast.
I really like them a lot.
I really like it a lot. And they were talking, I think it was the theme mostly was about Gnosticism, which I've just been really intrigued about listening. That is just really great. But then they kind of got into talking about new earth and new heaven. And one of the questions that he asked, I cannot remember who he interviewed.
Sandlin.
That's right, Dr. Sandlin. And he said, will we be on a dock fishing, drinking a beer in heaven kind of thing. And he was just like, I think we will. And it'll be so much more enjoyable. And the beer will taste even better. Like, all of these things. And I thought that was really cool. Like, I never thought of that. And then thinking about, like, having jobs. And that made me, I don't know what it was, made me so excited just to think about how we think about work here on Earth as just, like, I don't want to go to work. I can't, working for the weekend. You know what I mean? Just get through the week. Because a lot of people hate their jobs. Or even, like, motherhood as a job. Just, like, all of the hardships and people complaining about it and hating it. Like, how can you have that job, like, the best way possible? Like, that just sounds so exciting, where there's no, whatever sinfulness is in your job, there's none of that, and you work perfectly for the Lord, and everything you do is to bring him glory perfectly at all times. Like, how much more efficient and satisfying, because work is so satisfying.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, I'm just really excited.
I loved that part, and I also love the part where he was like, you're not wasting what you are building now.
Yes!
That it continues on. Yeah. And I love that, because
that was great.
Every instance, I don't know why, but like when I think of New Earth, like even before this Randy Alcorn book, I always just imagined, like, I knew it was going to be like a restored Earth, but I just always thought everything would kind of go back. You know what I mean? Like, technology would go back, and like, our buildings would go back. Like, it wouldn't be like skyscrapers and, you know, vehicles and all of the cool things that we've made so far. But, like, thinking that you start where you left off. Right. Like, we're not going to lose a bunch of intelligence that we've gained. Right.
Yeah, because I think he was talking about, like, computer programming or something like that, or a financier. Like, that work you're doing here. Like, how can you take that work you're doing here into the new Earth? Right. And I just thought, I don't know what I thought, but I thought those wouldn't exist anymore. We wouldn't need that stuff anymore. But maybe we will, and it'll be perfect and the most glorifying to God.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, just thinking about all of that and, like, thinking about it in a completely different way has been just very exciting. I know before I was a Christian, heaven didn't even seem appealing to me. Right. Because I just thought boring. My personality would be gone. Yeah. Because I would be sinless. So who would I be? You know what I mean?
Sin makes the personality.
I just was like, that doesn't even make sense, because I would just be like this drone, and it would be like a never-ending church service, and that's all it would be. Right. And of course, being not even a Christian, like, that does not sound appealing. Right, yeah. As a non-Christian. Right. But then becoming a Christian, it seemed good, and, like, I would probably enjoy it because I love God. Like, if it really was just an unending church service, like...
That sounds awesome.
I'd probably really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, it's even more than that. Yeah. I don't know. I can go on and on. But...
No, that's exciting. Yeah. I think that's great. Yeah. I think talking about just, like, being boring... in heaven and no personality. I think that kind of ties in a little bit what we're talking about today, maybe.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. If you wanted to go ahead and jump in or to that, introduce the topic. Or...
Yes. Okay. Our topic today is humor. Because Betsy and I have no sense of humor at all.
No, we were boring.
And so we thought it would be a good topic for us to talk about since we're really bad at it.
Right.
Yes. Thank you. We'll have lots of courtesy laughs for me in this episode. But really, like, this all came about because I was flipping around on Instagram and I saw something that said comedy was sinful. And I was like, that's weird. I have never heard that comedy was sinful before. And I just never imagined, like, laughing would be bad. Right. But upon further thinking, I think that there might be times.
Oh, yeah.
Where laughing, like, you wouldn't even think that you should laugh at this time if you're a normal person, like, thinking, like a normal person and understanding social cues and things like that. Like, you wouldn't think, it would be a good time to laugh right now.
Right. Yeah.
But I guess I just hadn't even considered that maybe I laugh at the wrong time sometimes.
Right. I think all of this, I would hate to say comedy, bad, all comedy, bad, throw it out, no more, you're done. Yeah. There's a balance here. And I think just what you said, if you were a regular person,
Yep.
I think you can understand when to laugh and when not to laugh. And I think that's what it is. I think you just can't say, you're a Christian, no more laughing, because it's all sinful. Because some people sin when they're telling jokes, or what they're laughing about is sinful. So, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like you can't just, what do they, throw out
The baby with the bathwater.
the baby with the bathwater.
Yes, exactly. So I think that just reading through, I have this like literary devices in scripture type of book where it tells you, goes through all of the different type of literary genres that are seen in scripture. And guess which one is in there also?
Laughter.
No.
Oh.
Humor. Good
Humor. Oh, wow. Close enough.
So they have like categories for humor that they say is present in scripture. And you've got like situational humor. The first situational humor that comes to my mind that made me laugh, the first time I ever read this portion of scripture as a Christian, I was like, that is funny. Where they're all on the boat, all the disciples are on the boat, and they're trying to get, I don't remember which portion of land they're trying to get to, but Jesus was on the land. He never got on the boat. And he was like, just go ahead and sail on over, and all of a sudden, the disciples look out of their boat as they're sailing away, and they see some figure walking across the I don't know, the sea, and they're like, it's a ghost, it's a ghost. And it's Jesus.
Yeah.
And he was like, just walking on by, and then he had to go and tell them, like, no.
Yeah. It's just
not
me,
a
guys.
ghost.
Yeah.
I'm not a ghost. Just trying to get to the other side just like you.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I just wrote in my Bible, I was like, Jesus is funny. Like, that is funny. That's good situational humor. Like, if I saw that in a movie, I would be like, that belongs in, like, Monty Python or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Not a ghost, guys.
And I thought also of, do you remember Jonah when he was waiting for God to, like, destroy Nineveh? And he's sitting there and he's like getting really hot and all that stuff, and he's like being a big baby about it.
Yeah.
And God causes this plant to like sprout up and give him shade. And then God causes the plant to die.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but when I read that, I was like, that's just really funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny because he was being the biggest little baby. Like,
Right.
we all probably would be doing the same thing. But seeing it from an outside perspective, you see how ridiculous we can be.
And it's so funny, because he just got swallowed by a whale, or fish, excuse me, and went through all of that stuff, and then he's like, my plant died. I really liked that. God's like, yeah, dummy. I don't know.
Yeah,
that is really funny.
Right. So I think that is all throughout Scripture, that situational humor. Because Scripture was written from such like a different culture and time, I feel like so much of the cultural humor is totally lost on us.
That's interesting. I never thought about that.
I was reading a Ligonier article on that, and he was like, you can take, if you type in any kind of language into like Google Translate, and you translate it directly, like, of course, it's gonna sound kind of funky because you're not gonna have like that direct word for word. Sometimes you don't have words in one language that you would have in another language, and you don't understand like the culture of like what they would even mean by that, like figures of speech and hyperbole and like the type of type of things that they think are funny. Like when I think of what Americans think is funny, I think of like The Office American version.
Yeah.
And then you compare it to like Office UK version.
Yes.
And it's just not the same.
Right.
I can't get through the first few episodes of the UK version because I'm like, this is not funny.
This is not funny. Yes. Yeah.
And I think that that's the same way in Scripture.
Right.
Like, I bet that there's even more funny places that we aren't seeing, and probably things that we think is funny might not be funny to the original writers.
That's true. Right. That's a good point. And I feel like your humor changes as you get older, too.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, what's something you don't think is funny now, the older you get, you would think it's funny. I feel like that all the time. Like,
Because your perspective changes.
Right. Like when I was like early 20s, like that is so lame. That is so dumb. Mm-hmm. And also because I tried really hard to be cool too. But now it's just like, that's actually super funny or clever or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you just like, it's okay to laugh at stupid things.
Right.
Or, whatever. But I think maybe that could be like that in scripture too. You don't think something is funny, but then when you really think about it, you're like the Jonah thing, like that is actually kind of funny, to think about.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sarcasm too in scripture.
I wanted to ask. Okay, no, sorry. Go ahead.
What were you gonna ask?
Well, I was gonna say I heard somebody say one time that sarcasm does not belong to a Christian at any point in any time. But then I feel like there have been times where Jesus, when he's talking to disciples or whomever, like sounds sarcastic.
Yeah.
So I was hoping to hear your opinion about it.
So I think that there is a place for sarcasm, like in a relationship. First of all, Jesus answered people exactly how he knew that he should answer them because he knew what he wanted to get across to them. Right. I think that sometimes when we're sarcastic with other people, we don't know the person and we come off as not, trying to communicate the thing we're actually trying to communicate. Mm-hmm. Or maybe we're sinful and we're actually just being jerks. Yeah. But when you have good placed sarcasm, like it can be funny.
Right.
When you have a relationship with somebody else and you guys are just constantly like bantering and back and forth and being sarcastic, like I think that that's fun.
Right.
But yeah, of course there's.
Right.
So I think that there's a place for it, and I think Jesus did it perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think that we probably screw it up a lot more than we should.
Right. I think I agree with you there. I think sarcasm should be used with someone that they know that you love them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because if you use sarcasm with someone maybe that they don't know that, or they don't know you, then you look like a total jerk. Yeah. Like you're just being rude. Some people can also take a joke really well too, and they can pick up on sarcasm.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. That's just, I like.
I think that that's kind of like a quirk of like a personality is like your sense of humor, like what you find funny and how you bond with people.
Right. And what just makes me pop in my head is when R.C. Sproul was like, "What's wrong with you people?"
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But that was like he was also
being very serious
and making a point.
Yeah.
But that's funny.
Yeah. It is funny.
Yeah.
You use it in memes and GIFs all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because so memes I feel like can fall into that category of like sarcasm. Mm-hmm. It can also fall into the category of too far sarcasm, like just being mean.
Yeah.
Instead of like being nice about it. You know what I mean? Like poking fun, like answering the folly of a fool. You know what I mean? Like showing them like, come on, man. Like, do you really think this? Yeah. Like, instead, they're just being rude. I think memes can fall in both categories. And then there's also lots of irony and hyperbole. So these are the types of humor that were in my literary genre book about scripture. And there was another situation that probably is not supposed to be funny, but when I read it, it is funny. Okay. I think it was Elijah. And he had a bald head.
Oh, yes.
And the kids were saying, "Hey, bald head." But then he had a bear go maul them.
Yeah.
Because don't laugh.
I'm not laughing. But I thought of that too, and I was going to talk about it, but I was like, no, that would make me sound like a sicko.
But, okay, first of all, I read some commentary on that because I was like, oh my goodness, did this bear just kill a bunch of children?
Right.
But some commentators say that it was just a mauling.
That's so much better. They just got mauled. They got their faces ripped off, but they survived. So
that made me feel a little bit better. Really, it did. But, I mean, yeah, like, just calling somebody a baldy or a bald head. Like, my husband's bald, and so I feel like now it's kind of like an inside joke. You know what I mean? Right. If I went up and was like, hey, bald head, like, he'd probably think it was funny because he would understand, like, the inside joke.
Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm bald. Yeah.
I'm gonna stick some bears on you.
Right. Yeah, you better stop that.
That's right.
Another funny thing, something that I don't think it's supposed to be funny, but it was talking about, like, would a good father give you a scorpion if you asked for a fish? Mm-hmm. And, I think that was a really good one, but I was reading it out loud, and Truman was like, a scorpion and a fish, or whatever he said, and I just, like, hearing a 4-year-old, like, hear it, he thought it was so weird and funny, mm-hmm. and then I was like, that is kind of funny, like, here's your fish,
just kidding.
Just kidding, it's gonna kill you. Like, it is just, that was kind of funny. So, yeah. Just something, I don't even know if it's meant to be funny.
You see so much... you hear Jesus saying, like, the kingdom belongs to such as these, talking about, babes, children. And I think that you see so much just honest, good, wholesome humor from kids.
Yeah.
Like, they laugh at things.
They just, like, that's funny, I'm gonna laugh and joke about it without, like, am I sinning when I do this? You know? Like, they're just like, that's funny. And you're like, yeah.
Like, they don't mean any harm to it. They just have a good time. Like, somebody trips and falls, they think it's funny.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Right.
I mean, as long as they're okay.
Right. Or, like, funny noises.
Yeah.
Funny
noises.
Yes, funny noises. Just like, it's
dumbest
funny.
things on TV shows that they think are funny.
Yes.
Throughout Scripture, we see that there are lots of commandments to be joyful, to be rejoicing in the Lord.
I'm sorry.
I think animals are funny, too.
Charlie tried to jump up on the chair and fell backwards because he's too fat.
Oh, poor
I'm sorry.
Guy. That's okay.
Didn't mean to do that. I keep interrupting you tonight.
Poor embarrassing kitty.
Oh, he's ashamed. Shame. For shame. Fat cat.
I see so much in Scripture. We're supposed to be rejoicing. We're supposed to find pleasure in God and be happy in our situations that He's given us. Like, and then you also see that Jesus was a man of sorrows, and like we are supposed to be sorrowful over our sin. Mm-hmm. And I think that is where people get this idea that, okay, so we're supposed to be sorrowful over our sin, so that means that we can never be laughing, we can never be super happy or whatever. In Ecclesiastes, actually, so in Ecclesiastes 7:2, it says, "It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for this is the end of all mankind, and the living will lay it to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by sadness of face the heart is made glad." So when you see that, then you automatically think, like, okay, so it's better for me to be sad about everything. Like, laughter has no place in my life. But, I think when you see those passages, you also have to understand what it's trying to say. You know what I mean? It's not saying never to laugh. I mean, earlier in the book, he's talking about all of these times of there's a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to weep and a time to laugh. These are all times that we're supposed to experience in our lives, and we aren't supposed to cut out one, out of piety's sake.
Right.
We're not only supposed to be moping around because we are so sinful. Guess what? We're never going to escape our sin until we're dead. Like, we're always going to have to deal with the flesh. And I think that laughter has been given to us as a gift from God. First of all, the only reason why we are able to laugh in the first place is because God allowed it.
Right.
And gave us this gift to... If you look at all of the benefits of laughing, like, your stress hormones go down, like, your whole disposition changes when you, like, hear a good joke.
Endorphins, and it's like, it makes you feel good. And,
even just smiling. Like, have you ever seen that experiment where they put, like, a pencil in somebody's mouth to make them smile, and it actually made them happy? Like, they recorded that it made them feel happier.
Oh, really?
Yep. So, even just, like, physical, reactions have an impact on your mentality, have an impact on your emotions. Laughter is a gift, and I don't think that it is always sinful. Now, obviously, there are things in Scripture that talk about, like, crude joking, and in that manner, it's talking about, like, inappropriate jokes.
Right.
Of course, that has no place in a Christian, because we should be keeping our bodies pure and our minds undefiled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even if you look at a woman with lust, like, you've committed adultery. So, of course, you shouldn't be joking about it.
Right. Yeah.
That would make no sense. Yeah, I don't think that we should fall into the category of, like, stoicism where all emotions are bad, all emotions are signs of, like, weakness, or, like, it's only from the flesh, and flesh is evil, and so don't feel anything.
Right.
You must put all of that away. Because you can foster relationships, and I think that we talked about that earlier too. Like, you can bond with people over what you think is funny.
Yeah.
And you can cheer somebody up who's having a really crummy day by being lighthearted. Of course, there's always that instance where you have to gauge the situation. Like, if somebody's at a funeral, you probably don't want to be cracking jokes.
Right.
But then I've seen people at funerals who are laughing, and it just breaks the tension. Like, there's a place for that stuff. It doesn't have to be totally absent. But.
Right.
What do you think about, like, Christian entertainers, like Christian stand-up comedians?
I don't see an issue with it. Now, if hopefully this goes on with your question, if there's a pastor and every time he gets up there he does a 5-minute bit, you know, like he has, like, opened his sermon with some sort of, like, comedic routine, I don't think that has a place. I'm open with a lighthearted anecdote, fine. I don't know how to put together a sermon or hermeneutic or homiletics or whatever it's called. Like, I don't know how to do that, but if you're spending too much time joking in your sermon, that's just kind of strange to me.
Yeah.
I feel like you're going to easily miss your point, or too much levity is everyone's going to remember your jokes. They're not going to remember the point of your sermon.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
But if you're a Christian comedian, I'm a Christian and I'm a comedian, and my jokes are not sinful or disgusting, I don't see an issue with that.
I think a lot of people assume that if you are a Christian comedian, or if you tell jokes every time you get up in the pulpit, that it means that you think Jesus is a joke, or that you can't be taken seriously.
Well, I think that goes back to time and place.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What's the subject you're talking about? You know, if you are a comedian and your whole thing is, I'm going to make you laugh, you are here, we have a mutual agreement, you know you are coming here to hear me tell jokes, I'm here to tell jokes, not to tell a sermon, then I think everyone should expect that that's what it is.
Right.
But if on a Sunday morning a pastor gets up and he starts rattling off a bunch of jokes, and you're here to hear the word being preached and the word being read, then I think that's the issue. That's when I think you're using the pulpit and the Lord's Day for something it shouldn't be, because that day is meant for presenting the word to people.
Right. You can go and attend church and hear a great sermon, and then later on in the day have, watch a stand-up comedy or whatever, as long as, like, it's rejuvenating. You know what I mean? Like, amusement has its place when it is rejuvenating and kind of, like, just making you restored in a way.
Right, yeah.
I don't know, leaving off stress, taking your mind off of responsibilities from the week, like you're supposed to be resting, and I don't know, I think the amusement has its place, but also it has its place. Like, it's not supposed to bleed into everything.
Right.
So.
I was going to say, I think if you look at the Old Testament and, like, the Israelites and all the feasts and things they have, I feel like those were probably really happy times.
Right.
Getting together with people and eating and celebrating those things. There was probably laughter. Even, like, joy. Like, joy is a fruit of the Spirit. That joy, there's always, like, that balance of, like, joy and happiness. Like, you always have joy in all circumstances, which is true. And happiness is fleeting. But I think joy could spur on happiness, like outward happiness, where you are smiling and you're happy and you're joking and you're lighthearted. And I think those things also make you feel less offended because you could take things in stride. If someone accidentally offends you or says something really silly that like you can let things roll off your back when you are just not being so serious all the time.
Actually, I was thinking about that. Is Brett? I remember Brett always saying Christians should be the least offended people. Like we shouldn't be offended so easily,
right?
Because we know who we are,
right?
Like you shouldn't be able to offend us if you're like talking bad about us. You know what I mean? Because we know that we are kind of messed up. Like we know that, we're well aware, but telling jokes, especially self-deprecating jokes to a limit,
right,
I think is good for us. Like I want to be able to laugh at myself because I'm gonna screw up daily, and not being able to be like, that was I just made a big dumb move,
right?
Like even it doesn't have to be sinful, but it can be like just a mistake. Right. Like my husband drilled 8 holes into the wall trying to hang up a shelf today, and with no success found 1 stud. Like we have to be able to laugh at that. Yeah. Because it's just funny. Right. It's funny. But we spent so much time trying to find stupid studs in the wall, and we only found 1. Yeah. And I don't know. Those are things that you can even look at in hindsight and say, like, you know, God knows where the studs are, and he did not tell us where they were. Right. And I think that that's funny.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't laugh at it, if you didn't find that humorous, it could have caused you to sin by getting really angry.
Yeah, and grumbling.
Or fighting with your spouse, you know, like, but if you could just both laugh and be like, that was really silly, you can avoid sinning.
Right. And that brings me back to the Proverbs 31 woman, laughing at the days to come, right?
Right, yeah.
And how many times should I be laughing instead of trying to, like, plan it all in my head? I should be... Just like, I can't predict the future. I can't control every molecule on the planet. God can. Right. So I can laugh. I can have a free, happy disposition about what tomorrow's going to bring because I know that God knows. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And James 4, just makes me think of when at the end of the chapter he's saying something like, stop saying you're going to go here and you're going to go there. You say, you know, if the Lord wills, because if you do try to manage everything that you do and just make all of these grand plans without consulting God, when they mess up, you just fall to pieces. But if we Lord willing, we'll go do this thing, and if it falls through, oh well, you know, like, must not have been what the Lord willed or whatever. So I think just having that joyful disposition and that happiness, I think people in the world outside of Christianity will look and be like, why are you so happy all the time? Mm-hmm. Like, look at the world that we live in. Look at our government, man. Look at COVID-19. Like, how can you just say that you're happy and, like, our joy is from the Lord? Right. Like, not from our circumstances. So we can laugh at the times that we're in, at the times to come, because we have that joy and happiness.
That brings it right back to childlike faith. Like, children laugh because they don't have to stress out about stuff that adults have to stress out about. Yeah. Because they know that they're going to be taken care of. Yeah. They don't have to worry about if they're going to, you know, get food, or they shouldn't have to worry about if they get food the next day and things like that. Like, God is way better parents than any of us can be, so we can fully trust him that we're going to have everything that we need tomorrow and everything that we need today. And so, yeah, of course we should. Yeah. You're right. We should just be carefree like a child would.
Right. Yeah. I'm thankful that the Lord gave us humor because it makes me interesting.
I agree. I'm glad that he gave you humor too. You'd be really boring without it.
That's true.
Yeah, so I wrote some things that I thought, like, the right type of humor. Like, what type of humor is the right humor? And I think one is, it's timely and it's not constant. So I think that one thing with comedians, maybe when you think that they are a joke, or maybe their witness is a joke or whatever, it's probably because they can't stop being a joke. Like, we have a responsibility to, like I said before, like, there is times for these things. Yeah, let's bring people joy by laughing with them and goofing on ourselves and, you know, being like, look at me, I'm just, like, a mess today.
Yeah.
And please laugh at me.
Right.
Because I just want to make somebody happy with my misfortune.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, like, I think it's timely, and it's also not constant. I think it's appropriate. It's obviously not at the expense of others, which this plays into, do you think pranks are okay? Can you play a prank?
The world's version of a prank is not like I would think. People think you go up to someone and you randomly punch them in the face and that's called a prank. I'm serious. Like, you see these things. That's not a prank to me. But, like, someone opening a door and then water falling on their head, that's a prank.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're...
Standing around a corner and,
it's
jumping
scary,
out.
yeah, which is so funny. I can never scare Travis, but when I do, I love it so much. So... I mean, I think, it's the context, what you're doing, how you're pranking someone. Are you trying to purposefully make them look foolish and belittle them?
Right.
Or, like, watch them freak out, which people do that on YouTube all the time. If it's just small and fun with your friends, I think that's fine. But if you want to embarrass someone, I don't like it.
I completely agree with that, and I think that's why Impractical Jokers is so funny. Because they don't make fools of other people.
Yes.
They make fools of themselves.
I do love that. Like, yeah, do that. Make a fool of yourself. That's funny.
Yes.
Don't go hurting other people or, yeah.
Right. And you obviously don't, like, pull a prank on somebody you don't know.
Yeah, I think that's stupid.
Right. So,
I don't know why I just said it like that.
I agree. I'm glad that we agree that pranks are okay. But
pranks are okay.
I would never scare you, so please don't scare me.
If you scared me, I'd probably pee my pants.
I most definitely would, yeah. I also, obviously the type of humor that's right brings joy to others. It doesn't diminish Christ, but it makes much of Christ. Like we talked about, like, being joyful and carefree as far as, like, trusting God. It should be smart and clever. And it should make you think about realities in a different way, kind of like an illustration, or like what Jesus did with the parables, like, or memes. I don't know how many times I've looked at a meme, like a good one, and laughed. I'm like, oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Or like a Babylon Bee, like satire, like those types of humors are clever and.
Some people don't like those though.
Okay, but why?
I guess this is what this whole conversation is about, right? Like, people, but I think some people get really, and here's how I think about it. I think people get tricked by satire, and I don't think they like to feel tricked, like when they're reading it, because sometimes there have been times where, like, you don't know you're reading satire because you're not paying attention. Yeah. And then you're just like, oh, I can't believe that happened. That's so crazy. Let me share it. And then someone's like, that's just for fun, So I think people don't like to be tricked into reading satire.
I also think that people don't like to get poked at.
Oh, for sure.
People take themselves very seriously, and especially on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Very seriously. And I don't think that we should take ourselves so seriously. We should take the things of Christ very seriously.
Right.
But
why should we what are we? Who are we?
A political candidate. Don't take it so seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's the main content of Babylon Bee right now. Yeah. The thing is, they spread it around. They don't just focus on one thing.
That's true. They do try to make it even, I think.
If you laugh at other people, like, you should be able to laugh at yourself.
I think so,
If you dish it out, you should be able to take it.
For sure.
Like, yeah, don't take yourself so seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. It's okay. You're not anybody, just chill out.
It's okay. Everything is fine.
I think as long as satire doesn't go too far as to, like, making light of Christ or making a joke where, like, God is like somehow the joke. Yeah, like, I think maybe Babylon Bee had something like that a while back where it was, like, borderline blasphemous, like making a joke about Jesus. And people had issue with that. But I think if they stay away from that, or whoever stays away from those kind of jokes, I don't have an issue with it.
Right.
Make fun of people all you want. I mean,
make fun of me. You can make. I would love to be, like, the subject of a Babylon Bee.
I know, that would be so fun. I would feel, like, honored. Like, if someone wrote, like, a joke about me, like, I would be like, oh, that's the coolest thing in the world.
As long as it was, like, not a really mean one.
Right, don't hurt my feelings.
Don't be
guys.
like, vicious.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Yeah, you can poke fun at
Yeah,
me.
don't say anything about my face.
Not something we can't change.
Not the face, guys.
Yeah, maybe we should write them and say, please.
Please write. And they're
Please
like, who are you? Stop writing us.
So, I mean, okay, so main takeaway. So, the whole episode is, it's okay to laugh.
It's okay to laugh. And I really like, we just said this, but don't take yourself too seriously. I think that is the whole thing.
Yeah.
Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
Be serious about your sin. Be serious about the gospel and about Jesus.
Yeah.
Life is going to be so much easier for you if you don't take yourself so seriously. And you can let things roll off your back and laugh at silly things.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. I still feel bad for Paul with the wall.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because he's bald.
Yeah, balding. Oh, I'm gonna tell him that.
Baldy.
I'm gonna see if he gets it when I come home.
Yeah.
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 That'll be fun.
He'll be like, what?
Yeah, that's the exact face. What? Well, if you enjoyed this episode at all, subscribe, like, and review.
At all. Even a tiny bit, please.
Even if a 1 star, if that's, I mean...
Even if you hate it, can you just, give us a 1 star?
1 star. I haven't checked to see if we've been rated at all on Apple Podcasts in months. Either. But, if you do a little rating, we will share it and tell you how much we appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's worth something, right?
Yeah. You'll be
I like
famous.
Compliments. You probably do too.
Yeah. And you like being recognized,
for all your hard work.
We'll do that.
If you want to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram at Women of the Table, and we have a Facebook page, and I've been posting more on there. So
thank you.
You should follow that. It's WOT Table on Facebook, and we have a blog, WOTT.blog. Right now, it just is housing our links to our podcast, but who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe one day I'll write something again.
You know what? Don't rush. You're fine. Don't rush. Don't stress. Just laugh. Roll off your shoulders. It's fine.
I'll figure something else,
good.
alright?
Yeah, you're good.
I'm sorry. Okay, bye.
Bye, everybody.